want to tag this first portion of this lean in conversation tonight, Deebo. Yeah, I'll explain it. Let's go on the journey together. Has anyone in here ever changed a diaper? Yeah, is anyone in here ever, come on, hands. Anyone in here ever changed a diaper? Not many. Brother, I have changed so many diapers, especially when the twins were at a certain phase. I mean, it was literally, it felt like every 10 minutes. And then with two of them, I've changed so many diapers that I can change a diaper in a dark room with basically no light. And I had to learn how to do it that way because, you know, you cut on lights are stimulation. They get stimulated. They gonna want to wake up, and I'm already on a minimal amount of sleep. So I learned to change a diaper in a dark room with just barely a light, just barely enough to see that I'm laying them in the right place. But if I was going to ask any of you some of your diaper changing techniques, because everybody changes babies a little different. I've noticed that everybody changes babies a little differently. Your technique and how you do it changes a little different. But what I've also noticed is everybody has to face the baby in order to change it. I ain't never seen nobody have the baby here change it like this. Now sometimes I wanted to, and I ain't gonna expound, but for those of you that change diapers, you know what I'm talking about. Here's something that we got to understand about closure as we talking about closing out things in our life. Just like a baby's diaper, you can't change it if you don't face it. You cannot change it if you are not willing to face it. My brother and sister, you cannot change anything that you are not first willing to face. So we got to decide from the outset if you really want to move on or not, and if you really want to close out something or not. 1 Samuel chapter 28 and verse 5, when Saul, this is what it says in 1 Samuel chapter 28 and verse 5. 1 Samuel chapter 28 and verse 5. Y'all know this is a story of when David eventually has to face down Goliath. And if you remember this story, God's people are on one side of the valley. The Philistine army is on the other side of the valley. And every day the Philistines will make mockery of God and his people. And God's people sit on the other side scared to do anything. They have an opportunity to change the situation, but they are too scared to face the situation, even though the situation is right in front of them. So you can have a situation right in front of you, but that does not mean you have the courage of your convictions in order to face it. So to face it does not mean to just look at it, because most of us look at stuff we know we need to change every day, but still don't have the courage to change it. So when I say face it, I'm not talking about to just look at it, not to just see it there, but to actually have the courage in order to change it. We're not going to face it to really change it, because to see it is one thing and to face it down is another. Kind of like Deebo. All right, I don't know if you got it yet, Roy. Or not, but if you do, you can put it up. It's kind of like Deebo. Y'all know Deebo. I know you do. Y'all know Deebo from that classic Friday. All right, I know most of you do. And for the other ones that say you don't, I know you do too. It's on BET almost every day, and they're not showing it because we're not watching it. They showing it because we watch. Y'all, Deebo was a menace in his neighborhood. And here is this menace to the entire neighborhood, not because it can't change, but because nobody is brave enough to change it. We have gotten used to some things that we shouldn't have gotten used to, simply because we are not courageous enough to face it, to have some uncomfortable conversations about what we need to do and about what other people need to do around us and in our lives. Even if we get used to some stuff, even if it isn't serving us for our better. When the issue shows itself, we just like smoking. When Deebo come around, we be quiet. But when he leave, we be talking again. When things that change when things that need to change show themselves, we be quiet. But then when we get in church, we all like, oh, I'm going to change it. I'm going to change it. It's going to be my year. And then as soon as it rears its head again, we're like, oh, I don't know that I can do this, because it means I'm going to have to actually face it. And I'm going to have to actually stand on faith. And I'm going to have to actually stand on principle. And what I may say may not be the most popular thing. And what I do may not be the most popular thing. But if I don't have the courage of my conviction to change it, to do what is uncomfortable, and sometimes even do what is unconventional, to change some things in my house, some patterns of my house, some patterns in my mind, some patterns in my life, then how can I change something I will not face? Ooh, that's some good teaching up in here. You know what? So we say, you know what? I'm going to just let it stay because I got to get closure. And closure is one of the most common excuses as to why we don't face down the change we need in our life.